go check. Can you fix the mic?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, for those joining us online and for those here at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, welcome to the Gita class. Tonight we will be reading from chapter 5, text 20. But before we begin, we will sing the Jai Radha Madhav prayers to invocate that heart for knowledge and humble, submissive attitude within us so that we can meditate on whatever we can learn tonight. Hari Bol, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please sing with your heart and sing with all enthusiasm. Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita class. Thank you, devotees, for being present here tonight. And thank you very much to my brother Ian Prabhu for setting up this wonderful mic. This is just for the... Okay. Before I begin, I would like to get and beg for the blessings and well wishes of the Vaishnavas, devotees, senior devotees who are tuning in online. My mother, my parents, my grandparents, and my family of Vaishnavas and devotees to please give me your blessing so that I can do the service with my heart and help in this mission, give some small contribution to help in this mission to spread Krishna consciousness and spread the love of Prabhupada. So from the bottom of my heart, please help me do a better service. Please help me with your blessings and your prayers. Thank you so much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 24. Yo natasukho natar aramas tathantar jyotir evayah sa yogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto digacchati. Yo natasukho natar aramas tathantar jyotir evayah sa yogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuta digacchati. Would anyone like to repeat? Yo nata sukho nitaras aramas tata hanta jyoti evayah sa yogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuto digacchati. Yo natha sukho natar aramas tatanta jyotir evayah sa yogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuta digacchati. Yo nata sukho natar aramas tatanta jyoti evaya Sayogi Brahma Nirvanam Brahma Bhuta Digacchati. Word to word translation. Ya, one who. Atta Sukha, happy from within. Anta Armana, actively enjoying within. Tatha, as well. Anta Jyoti, aiming within. Eva, certainly. Ya, anyone. Sa, he. Yogi, a mystic. Brahma Nirvanam, liberation in the Supreme. Brahma Bhuta, being self-realized. Adigacchati, attains. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One whose happiness is within, one who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Unless one is able to relish happiness from within, how can one retire from the external engagements meant for deriving superficial happiness? A liberated person enjoys happiness by factual experience. He can therefore sit silently at any place and enjoy the activities of life from within. Such a liberated person no longer desires external material happiness. This state is called Brahma Bhuta, attaining which one is assured of going back to Godhead, back to home. So we'll say the invocation prayers. Om Jnanam Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuvetam Savadutam Parajayana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanostute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patita Nama Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So thank you all the ladies from the Brahmacharya Ashram for joining me tonight, and thank you everyone who is online for joining me online and for tolerating me this evening. So today we're going to begin by playing a little game. So is the mic working? Okay. So this game is called Fill in the Blanks. So here goes. I'll say something and you have to fill the blanks. Of course, in Bhakti Shastri, that was an exam, but this is no exam. So the first one is chant and be. Great. Happy. Awesome. Amrita. Okay, let's do it again. Chant and be what, Amrita?
Happy.
Jay. Great. That was easy, right? Okay, second one. Books are the... Come on. You know it. Books are the best. Close, huh? Books are the B. Hint. It starts with B. Not best. Basis. Yes, thank you, Abby. Purity is the force. Preaching is the essence. Utility is the what do we follow when we come to Krishna consciousness? The four regular principle. Utility is the principle. Great! I'm actually enjoying this. Okay, third one. Happiness comes from? Within. Perfect. 3 out of 3. All of you got it. Thank you for contributing in that wonderful game. Now, can you please tell me, from your experience, one of the most happiest moments in your life, and why it was the most happiest moment or experience in your life? I mean, we can go around the table. They say great satisfaction comes from sharing, so let us share with all our heart.
Should I go? Is it on?
Yeah.
I think it's in Kirtan, actually.
In Kirtan.
When it comes to that point when you just forget, about your mind, about anything, and you just jump.
You just jump.
And you cannot, that happiness, you cannot compare it to, material happiness. Yeah.
So your why is that, what's your why? Why is that your happiest moment?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Thank you for your honesty and humility.
Yeah, for me also it's experiencing Kirtan, definitely. When you just feel, you just feel happy. I don't know why, but actually, we know from the scriptures that the happiness comes from our connection with Krishna. And when we chant his name, he's very pleased, and then we feel connected to him.
Wonderful.
But also I always feel very happy when I have opportunity to speak about Krishna, to share with others. It's really, even this experience of giving class, I guess you also feel happy then. Yeah, so these two experiences, really being in Kirtan, and even better is if we feel like we are really sharing, spreading the holy name and the message.
Thank you, Amrita. That's a very wonderful point, that your why is because it connects you to Krishna. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I think also the same as what you two have said in Kirtan, and discussing Krishna is always really, so relishable, hearing other people's points, and and then, seeing things from a different angle you never saw before, having realization. Yeah, I was remembering, because you said a moment, and I don't know, I remember the day when I got accepted and to stay in the ashram. That was such a happy moment for me, to officially wow, they actually accepted me. I'm actually going to stay here, and I didn't know how long I would stay. I thought, maybe just 6 months or something. But I still remember that. That day, there was a meeting, and then because it really felt like, oh wow,
It's like you got into Cambridge or Oxford.
It
off ISKCON,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. It actually is.
Yeah.
It feels it's more important than that. It's better than that.
Yes.
Cambridge or Oxford is
nothing.
You get a degree from there. What's that?
I mean, of course, they're well-established organizations, but beyond that, there is.
But it's not
the Brahmachari ashram. That's wonderful.
So rare, to come to this actually is more rare than to go
exactly.
to Oxford.
Yeah. I love that.
People come here compared to each year people that go to Oxford or Cambridge actually a lot less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you. That's beautiful. I mean, what a happy moment, Thank you for sharing, everyone. So Radhanath Swami says, trying to be happy in this world is the greatest illusion. So what about all these happy moments that we have? Are they just great illusions? So I'll share with you my most happiest moment, as what I recollect as the most happiest moment of my life. It was my 10th birthday, and somehow in my life I felt that once you get, to the age of 10, then you are grown up. So if you're 10, you made it, your life is successful. So my 10th birthday had to be like super special. And I remember I planned every single thing. At that time, my dad was going through a really bad financial time in his life, and he lost his business, and we had to move our house to a more smaller house, and we were living in a rough neighborhood, I remember. So it went from riches to rags in a moment, within a year. And for me, planning my 10th birthday party, everyone had to be at my 10th birthday party. That was the most happiest moment of my life, that I'm turning 10. And it wasn't about having the best birthday cake or having the best songs. What I recollect, it was just having the right people there, the right people, having the right association, having my grandma there, having my uncles there, having all my friends there, just the association of people. And that was the moment of happiness for me. They say a place is as good as the people. So from my experience, that was the most happiest. Rather very childish, but yeah. So what is happiness? The dictionary definition is, happiness is an emotional state characterized by feelings of joy, satisfaction, contentment, and fulfillment. So I asked a few of my friends what was their most happiest moments in life, and I think we discussed that as well. One said it's when they are with their loved ones during Christmas holiday. Another said it's when they are traveling and sharing Krishna consciousness. Harinam Sankirtan. One said that it's when they're with me, their friends, and they can have unlimited maha without putting on weight. Okay. So I want to share one experience that I had of what I define as what I was going through in life in order to find real happiness. Because I think our definition of happiness is very subjective. When we come into ISKCON, our definition of happiness becomes more objective. So I was living in San Francisco, and I think I've told this story a million times, and I was working in Mission Street, but the thing was, I didn't have any real mission in my life. I was just working, not too much focused on my spiritual life, definitely nothing close to the austerities that we do in the ashram. And I remember, I told you about when I was growing up, when I was 10 years old, that was the most happiest moment. But I realized the most happiest moment as an adult, as a growing adult in my life, was not until I met my spiritual master at the airport, and he awakened within me a purpose. So if I had to, in retrospective, if I had to recollect, from all the experiences I've gone through, I would say that the most happiest moment of my life was then and there when I met my spiritual master. That was the most happiest moment, when I made a garland for him and I was able to serve him. In the translation, we can read the translation again. In the translation it says, one whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. Unless one is able to relish happiness from within, how can one retire from external engagements meant for deriving superficial happiness? So while I was living in San Francisco Mission District, had a good job, had an apartment, good lifestyle, living the American dream, there was one day when I came down from the office, and I was like, if you're in Mission District, it's very busy at 5 o'clock because everyone gets off work, and basically it's like chock-a-block. There's a million people around you. But as I got into the street that day, that particular time, and I was walking, just surrounded by these materially opulent, like I'm living in the most opulent place, materially opulent place, with the most wealthiest people in the world, most famous people in the world, most successful people in the world. But I felt so alone, and I felt so unhappy. And that moment felt so empty that I can recollect up till now, that moment. Then it continues to say, I was searching, a liberated person enjoys happiness by factual experience. I had all the instruments of happiness. Good job, car, living in a really good city, wonderful healthcare, everything, the checklist, the whole checklist of an American dream. But I was so unhappy from within that I felt that I didn't even appreciate, I didn't have gratitude for what I had. Prabhupada continues to say, he can therefore sit silently at any place and enjoy the activities of life from within. Such a liberated person no longer desires external material happiness. Radhanath Swami reminds us, you cannot give happiness to another person unless you are happy yourself. I was quite not happy that day, and I was certainly not qualified to give anyone any happiness. So material qualifications, do they really give us that happiness? Do they? You can go into an ice cream shop and buy yourself an ice cream, and for 5 minutes while you're having it, you'll be happy. But what happens after it's gone? You're sad again that you don't have any ice cream anymore. It's like when you go for those holidays, like vacations. In the beginning, there's a lot of excitement. But when you're coming back, there's no happiness. You get this sort of like anxiety. I have to go back to work, It happens a lot. So how do we find happiness, that eternal happiness from within? Again, everything is in Srila Prabhupada's purports. So I'd request us that we read the purport together. And this time, let us try to extract 3 main points. Okay? Number 1, one whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward. Unless one is able to relish happiness from within. Can you tell me what word has been repeated 3 times? Within. I mean, that's the answer. Secret to life, within. Right? Number 2, how can one retire from external engagements meant for deriving superficial happiness? I found that really interesting, superficial happiness. We're all in this chase for superficial happiness. Ice cream, 5-minute ice cream, I don't know, a fancy car, perfect dress, 5-minute happiness. But what about the eternal happiness? And point number 3 is, a liberated person enjoys happiness by factual experience. Isn't that interesting? We think this is the factual life, but really, is it the factual? Is our life really a factual experience until we come into the brahmacharya? I'm just kidding. Until we come into the spiritual life. He can therefore sit silently at any place and enjoy the activities of life from within. Sit in any place. So what does Srila Prabhupada say about happiness? Let's explore some theories that he had. Theory number one is, Prabhupada says, we are trying to give people that happiness which will never be exhausted. That is our objective of happiness. So theory 1 says that happiness comes from within. I've often found that more than consuming prasadam, our greatest joy is not by eating it. Of course, there are certain times when you really need to eat it. But sometimes you get even more happiness when you can serve the devotees prasadam. And even though the whole day you might have been fasting, somehow your heart becomes full by serving the Vaishnavas and satisfying them. And sometimes even we have even greater moments of happiness is when we get the opportunity, like there might be a last piece of prasadam and a devotee comes up to you and says, is there any pizza left? And like you have no left, but you can give it from your saving, from your offering. And then you really know how renounced you are, how satisfied from within you are that you can give your happiness to somebody else. I've often seen that, like, in mothers, when you see a mother's mood, she will give the child even if there's the last grain left, she will not eat herself. She will give it to her child. In Kenya, I've seen it, seeing a lot of women and women in my family, women around the neighborhood, the Gujarati women, Indian women. They never, the men will come from work. And if, let's say, the husband comes at 11 o'clock, 11:30, she will not eat dinner until she has fed her husband. And sometimes they will go fasting, until the husband comes back. So their dedication, their mood of their happiness is not based on what they can get, but their happiness is based on what they can give, and mostly from giving to the people they love. The second theory, what does Srila Prabhupada say about happiness? Accept Krishna as your friend. You will be happy. This is the message of Krishna consciousness. So theory 2, Prabhupada is saying simply, if you want to be happy, make Krishna your best friend. I mean, if we study the Gita, the whole Gita is based on this example of friendship. Throughout the whole Gita, there is a relationship between Arjun, the Jiva, the spirit soul that represents us, and Krishna, the super soul. It's based on the whole idea of what a real friend can do for his best friend, What's that saying? A friend in need is a friend indeed, right? Our ever well-wisher Srila Prabhupada was our best friend and is our best friend. He left us all his books, not for his own fame and glory and needs, but he left them so that we could develop the love that he had for Krishna. He wanted to give us that love. He wanted to share it with us. He's our ever well-wisher, our best friend. He wanted to bring us closer to Krishna. So this got me thinking, what is friendship? And if you look at the definition of friendship in any dictionary, it says, friendship is a relationship of mutual affection between people. It is a stronger form of interpersonal bond than an association. We have the association of devotees, and then we have the care element with devotees, which actually allows us to go beyond association and build bonds, build real friendships with people. But it takes some effort. Friendship is a close association between two people marked by feelings of care, respect, admiration, concern, or even love. Yesterday, one of my really good friends, she had to leave the ashram and go back home to her family. And that whole time I realized how much she taught me. It wasn't me who was teaching her, but how much I learned from her, how much I learned. She gave me the greatest opportunity in my life to be a big sister. And being a big sister is not always about teaching, but it's about learning from the younger person, Sometimes they're the smarter ones. They teach you how to care. They teach you how to respect. They teach you how to love. Okay. Sorry. So some common traits of friendship include some degree of commitment, both to be the friend and to the other person's well-being. A desire for regular contact with the other person. Mutual trust, compassion, shared interest, opinions, hobbies, knowledge about one another's lives, emotions, fears, interests, feelings of love, admiration, appreciation, respect. The Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy says there are two things very important for friendship, to know that this is your friend. Number one, a concern, and number two, a relationship. And this is what they say. Now you can tell me if this is similar to something that you've heard, okay? So listen carefully. Friendship, as understood here, is a distinctively personal relationship that is grounded in a concern on the part of each friend for the welfare of the other, for the other's sake, and that involves some degree of intimacy. As such, friendship is undoubtedly central to our lives, in part because the special concern we have for our friends must have a place within a broader set of concerns, including moral concerns, and in part because our friends can help us shape who we are as persons. It continues to say the nature of friendship. Friendship essentially involves a distinctive kind of concern for your friend, a concern which might reasonably be understood as a kind of love. Philosophers from ancient Greeks on have traditionally distinguished three notions that can properly be called love: agape, eros, and philia. Agape is a kind of love that does not respond to the antecedent value of its object, but instead is thought to create value in the beloved. To create value in the beloved. It has some common notion between in the Christian tradition to mean a sort of love for God, for persons as well. By extension, our love for God and our love for humankind in general. Friendship, by contrast, is essentially a kind of relationship grounded in a particular kind of special concern each has for the other as a person she is, and whereas we must make conceptual room for the idea of love, friendship is senseless. Unrecorded friendship is senseless. Consequently, accounts of friendship tend to understand it not merely as a case of reciprocal love of some form, but as essentially involving significant interactions between friends, as being in the sense of a certain kind of relationship. What do we learn in the Gita? I mean, through whatever I was reading, I don't know if you were listening, it was quite long, but what does Krishna tell Arjun? Famous verse, 1865. Anyone remember? It is the only verse in the Gita which is not repeated once, but twice. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evasyasi satyam te yosime. Good job, Abby. The promise of friendship. The promise of friendship is based on two things, as we learned from the Stanford Encyclopedia as well: concern and relationship. Always think of me. What does Krishna say? Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this, I promise you this, I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. So theory 3. In this material world, we are trying to be happy in society, friendship and love. But the happiness we are getting that is compared, Radhanath Swami says that the happiness we are getting is compared to a drop of water in the desert. Our heart's desires, real pleasure, transcendental bliss. We are hankering after Krishna. That is our inner desire. We're trying to get eternal happiness. So let me just take you back. One other way of developing happiness, as we discussed in theory 2, is what? Through developing eternal friendship with Krishna. And theory 3, what has been said here? Sorry, not Radhanath Swami. Srila Prabhupada says what? In this material world, we are trying to be happy in society, friendship, and love. But our heart's real pleasure is what? Transcendental bliss. We are trying to get not just one moment of ice cream happiness that will melt away as the sun rises. We are trying to search for eternal happiness. Satchit Anand. And how do we get this Satchit Anand? Today I had a very interesting day. I had no clue that I would meet so many individuals and be able to interact with them. But the most joyous moment of my life was that I depended on Krishna to chase those events and to get things done without depending on my own. You know, in the morning in the class we're learning, don't try to control the situation. Just know Krishna is the controller and change your attitude to that of a servant. And that we have to use as an instrument in our life, because let's say you don't have the key of the door to some place. You have to have faith that at that point, when you get to that gate, someone will magically appear and that gate will open. And that's exactly what happened. I had to go and deliver a parcel to a senior Vaishnava. And I was running to the gate and I was like, I don't have the key. How will I get the key to that gate? And somehow, as I got to the gate, Krishna sent a devotee on her bike who came from nowhere, and he just opened the gate. And I was like, wow, this is just interesting. So going back to the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11.3.30. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. Yes, you might say that it's very nice to get up in the Mangalarti, do your morning program, stay on the corner, chant your rounds, and chant and be happy. But you cannot be focused. Literally, today I ran into another senior Vaishnava who I have not met for so many years, and she gave me this tool to make this class even more wonderful, and that was Krishna's arrangement. And she told me that you cannot relish Hari Nam if you do not relish Hari Katha. If you want in the end of your life for you to be absorbed in Hari Nam, the holy name, chant and be happy, you cannot do it if you do not relish Hari Katha. And the only way to relish Hari Katha is what? In the association of devotees, in the friendship of devotees, in what we're doing right now, having discussions, sharing Krishna with one another. And that is eternal happiness, because not only are you gaining, but you're sharing, you're giving. And not only through that giving process are you developing a happiness from within, but you are also developing a friendship with those devotees. You're going beyond just associating with devotees. You are creating a bond. By how? By putting Krishna in the center. So tonight we learned how can we get this happiness. 3 main points we discussed today. Number 1, by giving. Through service or time, there's so many ways that you could give. Right? That's how you develop happiness. Number 2, developing friendship with Krishna. Of course, Jivere Swarupa Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. Always remembering our constitutional position and trying to develop our real happiness from within by developing our friendship with our ever well-wisher Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. And number 3, focusing not on just one happy moment, you know, those one happy moments in our lives, but making each and every moment of our life magic, making each moment, each step a dance, eternal happiness, making a focus on eternal happiness. And finally, let's go back to our game. Fill this in for me. It's all about love. Thank you. So the final point to take home is happiness. Real happiness comes from sharing love. What we learn, we share, that's love. What we love, we give. Service is love. What we have in our hearts for Krishna, Ishwar Sarva Bhutanam Hridesha Arjuna Tistati. We give the love of God to everyone and not just keep it inside for ourselves, but we take that love and we spread it. And we make Prabhupada famous all around the world, and we make Krishna famous all around the world. That is real happiness. Bhaktivedanta Swami says, finally, real happiness comes from relationships. When we desire to serve beyond our capacity, yet you act without hesitation, that moment of empowerment occurs. And happiness is not a choice. Happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. So chant and be happy, serve and be happy. Think about our eternal bond with Krishna and be happy. Just be happy. And of course, I think in another class we learned we also have to learn how to be positive and find happiness in others. So I'd like to leave us on that note of, building our friendships, trying to find the happiness, these happy moments, and trying to look for the eternal happy moments by sharing the love for Krishna. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for all the devotees and your association, and thank you for tolerating me. Please do let me know if you have any comments, questions, chastisements, and thank you for tolerating me tonight.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class. It made me very happy. I want to ask you a question, personal question.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying like how you were living the American dream and you had it all like job and everything. I wanted to know what inspired you to give it up to come to be in the manor.
I think it was unhappiness. When you have that moment of unhappiness, then you realize that whatever you have cannot give you, because you don't want that moment to stop. Like, you might have everything you've ever dreamt of, but you're still not happy. And that's why I realized I've met so many successful people, so many wealthy people, so many, Radhanath Swami says that, there's this association of happiness comes from achieving something material. You need to have a lot of money, you need to have a lot of cars, you need to have the most beautiful wife. But even though you have that, you're not happy. And then he was giving an example of this story where like he was in this Persian country, and there was this, he was sitting in a cafe with his friends, and all of a sudden this little boy walks in. He has no clothes on, he looks very poverty-stricken, but he walked into the cafe with $1 million smile, and he looked so happy. And then he asked himself that question, like, even the people sitting in the cafe, looked really well off or whatever, they were sad, they were unhappy. But that one person, poverty-stricken, was so happy. So there goes the idea of like, you need certain, gadgets to find happiness. Why? Because we're searching for temporary happiness. At that point in my life, I read that, like sometimes when things go wrong, they actually go wrong so they can actually get right, like that one unhappy moment, that one empty moment in your life, and you're like, okay, this is not what I really need. This is not going to make me happy, because it's not the accumulation of things that's going to make you happy, because that's external. What really makes you happy is less is more, right? less is truly more in the ashram. That's what we're learning. The less we have, the